Okay, we're going to try and keep EQing our instrumentation. And we got the piano added in last time, and we're going to add in the B3 now, the B3 organ. So this is what the EQ, we'll go back to flattening that out because that's off. This will turn the EQ on. Now you can see kind of where the energy of the sound is, and you could probably roll this off below, I'd say about 100, because the B3 does have a lot of warmth when it's playing left-hand notes. The danger of leaving too much in is it'll fight with the kick and the bass, and it'll cause the kick and the bass to have less definition. But if you go from here, you kind of experiment with what makes things sound better, and to see what the B3 is doing, just turn it up for the moment. That's a little too much to see what it's doing, but we'll turn it up really loud and go listen to it again to see what the EQs are doing. Like, that's too warm and muddy, it makes it distorted. That doesn't do much. So you've got something you can boost here, which is around 1173. So I'd say you could turn that up if there's not a whole bunch of other things already being turned up there. And again, you can adjust the Q, the width of that, and that'll make it more specific. Sometimes that helps, sometimes it hurts. This is just a real rough overview of some principles. You can get into a lot more detail, and there are a lot better people than me to show you how to do that. This is just my 2 cents worth. So we'll go back to the beginning and then add another instrument in, and we'll set the B3 back to a comfortable level. There you go, you can hear it. B3 is one of those instruments where if you get rid of it, you see how thin that gets without it? That's why you have to hear it in the mix, but you also don't have to be able to tell it's in the mix, if that makes any sense. It's one of those things that will really fatten up a mix, even though you won't really notice it a whole lot. So if we take just the B3 and the synth out, see how much thinner that is? You see the space that they're filling in there? It's kind of that warmth, the low mid part of the sound that I'm always talking about. So we'll put them back in, and they really fill in a lot of space, and we haven't even gotten to the guitars or the vocals yet. So we'll go back and add in some of the guitars. And Jeremy's acoustic is kind of driving this, so the EQ is off. I'm going to undo what we had done, and then I'm going to turn the EQ on. So again, with acoustic, to hear what's going on, I'm going to turn it up obnoxiously loud, and we're going to roll off the low just to get it kind of out of the way. And the weird thing is, if you roll off the lows enough, it sounds kind of dumb alone, but it doesn't matter what it sounds like alone. It only matters what it sounds like in context with all the other instruments in. So we'll leave it right about here. Oops. We skipped ahead a little bit, but we'll come back to that later. Oh. I'm hearing an electric guitar coming from somewhere that I didn't think I had unmuted. So at any rate, that's the acoustic. Let's go back and take a look more at the EQ on the acoustic. As far as the acoustic, if you want to hear what happens in different parts of the acoustic, everybody's acoustic guitar is wildly different. If you have like a Martin, that'll have a whole lot of bass. You'll barely have to EQ it. If you have other kinds of other models, depending on what kind of pickup they have and what kind of wood it is, you may need to cut stuff. Sometimes you can get a guitar to sound better by cutting somewhere between 400 and 800. If you need a little bit more bite to the acoustic, sometimes people will boost between like 7 and 10. Obviously you can't use that much. but you can use a little. It just varies, and you have to try it out in context of everything else to see what sounds good. So we'll start adding everybody back in. And you're still missing that bass big time. There you go. And now we just we got something that we can live with, and you can see what it sounds like in context. Do you need to hear it more than that? Do you need to cut anything? You can experiment with that, and then you bring the acoustic into where it's... See, if you pull the acoustic out of the song when it's driving the whole song just kind of dies. So you want to find out the spot where it's not crazy loud, but it's definitely like the main instrument that you hear. So that's probably in the ballpark. We want to make sure it's not eating the kick or the snare, and we'll go back and work from there, and we can fine-tune it later if we have to. And actually, you know what, while we're here talking about guitars, let's add in the electric. And turn the electric way up to see what's going on with it. This is with no EQ. And you can kind of hear how the electric is murky. And this is another good reason why you would cut some of the EQ out of it. Again, if you're soloing it out, if you leave all that low end in, it will again clash with the kick and the bass. Some people cut electrics like below 200 or something, which is kind of what we're doing now. A lot of the energy of electrics lives in a specific spot in the mid-range, around 1700-ish or so. But again, that varies wildly per guitar. You just got to find out what works. And if there's nothing else happening there around 820, you might be able to boost that there, and it might sound better in context. So let's go back and see what that sounds like with everybody in. Okay, pardon me, that's taking a while to turn all the solos back on. And we still have the electric crazy loud, just so we can hear what it sounds like in context. But that's not terribly bad, so we'll bring that down. I feel like it's still a little muddy, and it's like there's more we could do to clean it up. When you're EQing, it doesn't necessarily have to feel like it makes sense, it just has to sound good. That's a little extreme. We're boosting below 400, but it does seem to sound a little cleaner in context if we do that. That would matter a lot if the electric were playing a solo section, because it would sound kind of silly alone, but this might be okay. We'll see what happens when we boost it other places. That's kind of warmer, but if we turn it back down, what do we get? Can you still hear it? And would we be able to hear it better on the other side? I think I like it better on the right-hand side, a little bit further out of the way, so I think we'll leave it over on the right. We'll go from there.